Next, I would like to invite Ivo and Wing again for the next session on interconnection system in Asia. Ivo?
Thank you so much. And let me translate what John summarized for us as key findings. By the way, great presentation. Thank you, John, so much. Let me translate this to the DECIX strategy, the strategy of DECIX Asia. We learned that there is a huge need for more infrastructure on site in all these markets around Singapore. Singapore, as a big concentration of cloud and content, cannot do the trick because we need more distribution. We need to get content and cloud and other applications as close as possible to the billions of people living in Thailand, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, on the Philippines, and so far and so on. This requires interconnection infrastructure, and this is the plan of DECIX Asia, to create one of the largest, fully meshed, fledged and enabled, multi-service enabled interconnection platforms in Southeast Asia with local presence, local exchanges, local platforms in all these key markets. At the same time, they all interconnected. So networks and users in Malaysia, in Thailand, and Indonesia, and so far and so on, they can start exchanging traffic locally at the same time through the full mesh, being interconnected with networks concentrated today in Singapore or in the other markets. In other words, we want to create the platform which will support the trends which already started by the bigger cloud service providers. John mentioned in his interview, guiding also the interconnection closer to the users, where the cloud interconnect can happen locally and at the same time enable the entire region with a multi-interconnection service platform, which is based on our different services we operate on all markets. These are now available in Asia. And let me hand over now to Wang, who will show you that we already created the first steps on this strategy path, opening up DECIX Malaysia and DECIX Singapore as the first phase in this bigger model. Wang, up to you now.
Thank you all for the introductions, and thanks, John, for a very enlightening research. Now, as one thing that we could derive from John's research conclusion is that emergence of interconnection nodes throughout the regions is the trend. Now, perhaps beyond the network and connectivities, if you look locally in Malaysia, there are already signs of social and economical integrations in Johor Bahru, for example, reinforced by the developments of some of the infrastructures projects, for example, the rapid transit systems, the high-speed rail. The leadership in the country, they have already planned for the further integration between the two countries. So our initial development of the JBIX is exactly built for that vision. So it prepared, the industry for the eventuality that the hub effect will be extended across the border into Malaysia. Okay, next slide, please. So the joint venture between DECIX and JBIX has brought to Malaysia the concept of multi-service versatile internet exchange. So first of all, neutral internet exchange, meaning we welcome anybody who have needs to peer to come and join us. So we do not set any restrictions on our membership. Anybody who have needs, we welcome you to come in and join us. For a start, our distributor IX will cover 3 regions in Malaysia. 3 regions across Malaysia and Singapore, starting with the Greater KL regions. In Greater KL, we have 2 nodes, one located in KL, the other one located in Cyberjaya. In Johor Bahru as well, we have established a zone where there will be 2 nodes located in Johor Bahru. And then Singapore, likewise, we also have 2 nodes in Singapore. So what we have created is a distributed platform where there's a uniform access network. Anybody who connect into the access network, they are able to peer with one another across our peering fabric. To date, we have 60 networks connected with an aggregated traffic more than 35 gigabit throughput. And then in terms of services, in additional to the traditional peering, we are rolling out cloud and cloud services. And then on top of that, we also have the black holing security prevention, the DDoS prevention service. So we are actively looking at building the services to cater to the different industry in Malaysia. And then in terms of the port subscriptions, starting with a 1 gigabit port, we are extending it to 10 gigabit and 100 gigabit port to suit different types of players. So now it should also be noted that, along with the joint venture, we are bringing in the Apollon platform. The Apollon platform is the award-winning platform developed by DECIX. So this is the first time that we are rolling out a software-defined networking platform in Malaysia. And this is the kind of a platform that will allow cloud and enterprise users to turn on and off connections using the API. So this is actually the kind of a next generation connectivity platform that we believe will enhance will bring an ease of digitizations to not just the telco, the cloud players, and it will also make it easy for enterprise users to migrate to the next stage of the digitizations. Just now I mentioned about the trade zone. So in this slide, I will elaborate a little bit more on what are the trade zones. So first of all, starting with the Greater KL zone, we have enabled 2 sites in Greater KL, namely AIMS data centers and CJ1 data centers in Cyberjaya. And then in Johor Bahru zone, we also have 2 enabled sites, which is the JB1 data centers in Menara Cyberport and the JB2 data centers in Menara Ansas. In Singapore, we have enabled 2 data center sites, namely the Global Switch and STT Tai Seng. Now, as you can see from the diagram, there are white lines connecting these 3 zones. And these white lines is the connections, is a 10 gig connections that we enable to interconnect our exchange nodes. So meaning that anybody who connect to one zone, they are able to peer with another network in the different zones. So this gives them a very, very flexible way for them to interconnect with one another. And this is truly the kind of a distributed IX fabrics that bring the ease of connectivity to Malaysia. Now, let me also touch on our strategic outlook. Given that from John's research, it reveals the potential for the new interconnection hubs. So our focus is not just on expanding our reach horizontally, geographically, but we are also looking at expanding our just vertically, meaning that we are looking at enhancing our exchange services. So when we build the internet exchange, we are bringing all the networks under one roof. But why do we want to stop just with just providing the peering services? Indeed, we are bringing to the market the cloud exchange, where each participant can initiate a private connection to the public cloud of their choice, and makes it very easy for them to conduct multi-cloud connectivities over one easy platform, one network port. And then we have also pioneers in Malaysia the concept of multi-service port, where the same port that you subscribe to do peering in our DECIX platform, it can also use it for private connections with any network connections over our distributed fabrics. You can use it to connect privately with your workload located in a public cloud, or you can move the workload at ease across the multi-cloud that are connected in our exchange fabrics as and when you need it. So the possibilities is really endless. Perhaps also equally important is the application of the IX in the era of 5G and IoT, because these applications require sub-milliseconds connectivities, latency end-to-end. So 5G has a very stringent latency requirements. So given this stringent latency requirements, IX is an ideal platform for all the 5G operators to interconnect with one another. So with the distributed IX concept, content players can drop the content at the IX closest to the eyeball so that it can cut down on the latencies. And for industry who require IR 4.0 environment, so who has the IR 4.0 applications, they can use the IX to cut down the latency to the cloud workloads. If they are hosting the workload in the cloud, they want to have the minimum latency to the cloud. So the IX is able to cut down the latency for them. one more thing about the 5G telcos, they can use IX to exchange traffic locally, so thereby reducing the boomerang effects within the countries. So for enterprises that require private interconnections for its own industry, for example, the banks, the hospitalities, so we are also able to provide a federated exchange to serve that particular industry. So these industrial players, they can connect into our internet exchange and interconnect directly with a peace of mind of the connectivity is secure, and they will be enjoying the industry highest standard connectivity in our internet exchange. So the possibility on the use case is endless. Let me hand over to Iwo.
Yes, Wenk, I couldn't agree more. And we have even further plans for the future to enable specific industry segments with virtual, closed, private ecosystems on the top of the platform. We're talking about finance, as you mentioned, e-health organizations, logistics, insurance, retail, and so far and so on. So the possibilities of different service options are almost limitless, endless, because of the openness of the platform and because of the DNA on this platform, which is direct, highly secure, many to many, one to many on the shortest path possible. So what we will see on this distributed platform in the future, adding more and more markets as the existing ones as of today, Malaysia and Singapore, is the variety of different private ecosystems of big enterprises, or how we call it, closed user groups, or even beyond, federations where industry sectors, they can create their interconnection ecosystems for Southeast Asia and beyond. This is really exciting, and I want to hand over to our kind moderator to start the Q&A session now.